Hello and welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the contents in this channel. I would like to play a small clip of David Dobson, who was a member of the church that Donald Wells and Candus Wells used to attend. This clip was done by The Unmask, this interview. I always found it very valuable. Most of the interviews that The Unmask has done has been taken down. I'm not sure, but I heard the TBI has taken it down, and that would mean that it's clearly material that is evidence, or that there's something in those clips that the TBI and law enforcement are trying to keep it hidden from us, obviously, because this will eventually go to a grand jury, or this would go as part of the evidence. David Dawson was one of the first people that Candus Bly-Wells, who changed her name later on back to Candus Bly, her maiden name, on the 29th of June, the same day that she did the famous interview. Candus called David Dodson. She was trying to get a hold of Robin Lane first, and she couldn't. So she called David Dodson, that's what he says. And he says that Candus said they had an emergency, that Summer disappeared, or Summer wasn't there to be found. David Dodson was one of the first people, besides law enforcement, who came down to Ben Hill. So I really believe that his interview is definitely valuable. He says over here that Candus showed him, and she showed him pictures of Summer and the boys. She played a clip for him, and she said that it was the same day, the 15th of June, that allegedly Summer and her brothers and Candus went swimming. So I want to know where Hunter came into this, and why Candus has been changing her timeline and her narratives so much. That just shows, allegedly for me, that this is foul play. So let's listen to what David Dodson says.
About June 15th. If there's anything that you're able to share, I mean, obviously we've talked about this on many of our lives when we cover, multiple cases, but specifically with Summer, we don't want to share anything, obviously, that would do any hindrance to any form of investigation. But I am aware that were you at the home that night?
Yes. What happened is during the day I had spent the day with my daughter and took my daughter out to eat. And about 7:30 that evening, I was at home, and Summer's mother had called me, and she said, "David, we have an emergency. Summer is missing." And she was also trying to reach another one of our church members. And her name is Robin, and she was unable to get a hold of Robin, so she called me and see if I could try to get a hold of Robin for her. We were able to get a hold of Robin, and Robin and myself, we made our way out to their home. I'd never been out to their home before. I had to get the address from them. But by the time we got out there, it might have been about, oh goodness, maybe 8:30 or so, and there was a high police presence. There were aircraft already in the air. They had the police dogs out. There was probably about 100 search and rescue personnel, fire department already out there when we arrived.
Wow. Okay. And Robin is actually somebody that was she was like the school teacher at the church, correct? I think her and Summer were very, very close.
Yes. Robin and Summer they were very close. And Robin taught her Sunday or her Sabbath school class.
And I think that's one of the ones that Candus referred to that Summer would always light up when she would see her at church.
Yes, yes.
Do you and the family at this point, or you or the family, I should say, do you guys believe that Summer could have wandered off at all now that you know how much of that terrain has been searched with the dogs?
I just Summer's dad told me that two of the dogs, and like I said, I did not hear this from the police. This is what Summer's dad Tom told me. He said two of the dogs picked up her scent on the driveway, and then when they got at the bottom of the driveway to where their road is, the scent stopped. Is what he told me. the I really don't know. We're just baffled. We're just baffled. And
I was asking you happened to mention a video that you had seen of Candus showing that Summer and the boys were swimming.
yes.
Do you know, was that all of her boys, or was that the young boy we were talking about?
The video I saw was of Summer and her three brothers, but not the other young man.
Was it from that day or from a totally separate time that you'd seen that video?
That's that video that she showed me was the day she showed me that day that Summer went missing.
Okay. Did she say it was taken that day, or it was taken a different day?
Yes, ma'am. It was taken that day because they had gone out there swimming.
Okay.
Someone in chat had asked, because there's a rumor going around that Grandma Candus had left town. Is she still at the house with Candus and Don and the boys?
Yes, she is still at the house.
On February 24th, 2020, there was a crisis.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Hood London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist and a licensed mental health counselor. Please like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the contents in this channel. The clip that I just played is from David Dotson. He was a member of the church that Candus and Dawn and Summer and her brothers used to go to. Like I said, David Dotson was one of the first people that Candus called. She said she had an emergency. She was trying to get hold of Robin too. David Dotson said in this part, like you heard clearly, that Candus showed him pictures and a clip of her, Summer, and the boys swimming. She allegedly told David Dotson that the boys, Summer, and her and Candus went swimming that day. The unmasked asked her if basically the young teenager was there. He said he did not see him in the pictures. And the young teenager they're referring to is Hunter, obviously, Allison's son. I found that to be very interesting because that happened on the 15th of June around 8:30, like David Dotson said. So if Candus gave this timelining and this narrative, including her three sons and excluding Hunter, to David Dotson, I believe that it could be possibly true. Because usually when something happens, and if it's allegedly foul play or something, you will always notice that the first story is usually more likely, because you can imagine a child goes missing, the parents are panicking, law enforcement on the scene, and I'm sure when Candus spoke to David Dotson, things were fresh in her mind. I'm sure that what she told him seems to be most likely the truth. Because let's not forget, this was just a short clip I played, because these interviews have been taken down by the TBI, allegedly as evidence, I believe. In the other part, David Dodson clearly says that one of the brothers told David Dodson that the basement door was locked. I repeat, locked. So if the basement door was locked, and if Summer was in the basement, obviously the basement door is locked, so nobody can come in from the basement. So they would have to come in from the front of the house, the front entrance. Let's say if somebody, an abductor or kidnapper, came in from the front, they will literally have to pass by 3 of the boys, not 1, not 2, 3 boys. The oldest being 13 that time, and the youngest being 8, I believe. It's not like the 3 boys were blind and were playing. They were so deep into their games that they didn't notice a stranger or abductor passing them by and going down the steps and picking up Summer. There would have been some screams. If the boys saw that really happened, you can imagine that's their baby sister. They would have started throwing things on the person. They would have yelled. It's not 1 boy. It's not 2 boys. It's 3. So the basement door was locked. David Dodson, I personally do not believe, has any reason to lie. And he clearly said in his interview that he gave his statements to the TBI. That's the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. I do not believe that he's a person of interest. I remember early on in the case, many people allegedly was thinking that since he works with criminating bodies, that he could possibly be involved. I'm not saying no or yes, but I doubt it would be that, because he gave his statement to the TBI. And if he was involved, the TBI wouldn't have let him moved out of state. So I don't believe David Dodson is involved. In fact, I believe David Dodson is telling the truth. Another part of his interview, he explains to the unmasked how isolated and how high up the hill that the Wells' property is located. For abduction to be done, people wouldn't literally go to a place where they could be tracked down. I've always said that I've never believed Jody Sue Brown's story and her lies from the start. I've never believed her because she clearly said that she heard screams and all that. And you could hear David Dodson saying the nearest house or the nearest neighbors is 50 yards or more. This does not make sense. The reason that I believe that many people, or actually not many people, some people still believe that the Wells are innocent, they had nothing to do with it. And of course, nobody is guilty until proven guilty. But we are allowed to speculate in a respectful manner. And when you look at it, it does not make sense at all. These people who are all involved, especially the Wells, have changed their timelines and their narratives right from the start. At the first day when Summer was reported missing, they did not say that Summer was last seen in the basement. Even the TBI has put it out on the website. They put the Amber Alert out the next day on the 16th, and they said that Summer was last seen outside a house, barefoot. So was Summer seen outside her house barefoot? Or was Summer in the basement? But then the basement was locked, according to David Dodson. He said the brothers told him that. And I don't think the brothers' children usually don't lie. The brothers, because let's not forget that this happened fresh. When it happened at that timing, David Dodson was the first on the scene. So if the basement door was locked, how did Summer get out from the basement? If somebody broke into the basement door, they would have definitely heard the smashing of the glasses of the door, because they have a glass on the door, on the blue door. God bless his soul, we heard Jose saying that he lived there for a couple of months and that basement door was always locked. He said Summer could not reach the basement door. He said that there was a blue sofa that was pushed towards the door and it was locked. When I heard that Summer was outside barefoot, I used to always think about the snake theory. The reason I used to think about the snake theory is not only the tattoo that I pointed out from the start. I think I have said this from January, I believe, because I noticed one day Candus on her YouTube channel, obviously under addictions, and then she takes her wrist and she puts her arms out like that. And you could see over here where we wear our watch around a watch and bracelet, on her wrist, inside of the wrist over here, guys, she has a cross, a black cross with a snake wrapped around it. When I saw that, the first thing that immediately came to my mind, I believe this was December or January, I was thinking, wasn't Candus the one who said in the interview, I do not go out for a walk because I'm scared of the snakes, bears and coyotes, and then she said coyotes. Let's not forget that. So why would somebody who's scared of a snake have a snake tattoo? Psychologically, it doesn't sound right at all. Then we had Jody Sue Brown in one of her clips a couple of months ago saying that she would help, Candus would come down to her if she needed advice about how to feed Summer and like how to make milk for Summer and all that. And Jody Sue said she found that very strange because Candus has many other children, so she was wondering how come she never knew of the basic things. Jody Sue Brown said in that same clip, she said she would come to me for advice about milk and such things, and she would come to me if, example, she would call me if she saw a snake around. She did not know which ones are the poisonous snakes and which ones ain't. So she said, I used to tell her, wait, I'll come down there, and I would go up there and I would take the snake and throw it far away if it wasn't dangerous, so I would kill it. We have even this picture of Jody Sue Brown from a Facebook. I remember taking it out a long time ago, and it's in one of my thumbnails with a snake wrapped around her hand. So I wonder if Summer got bitten by a snake. Then we have the Jose, God rest his soul. Jose said clearly that in the shed, in the well shed, there was a copperhead snake that when they tried to get closer to it, it used to disappear. He said it was always in the shed. The animal protection service was called for the snake and they couldn't find it. Now that's the third time we're hearing about snakes. Then we have Allison, his neighbor, who said that Allison has a snake. And then the main thing is the picture, the last picture we saw of Summer Moon Uterwells sleeping on the milk cartons. I don't know, guys. I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor. But when I grew up in India, when I was younger, they used to have a lot of snakes there. And I remember we used to learn a lot about snakes in school. The dangerous kind, if a snake bites you and the poison goes into your blood. I remember in India they used to try and drain out the poison as quickly as they could. They used to have their own kind of ways, and sometimes it was successful, sometimes it wasn't. So I wonder, the picture that I saw, I could clearly see, this is my speculation only, guys. Summer was very purple, blue under her lips, her eyelids, her fingernails. She was completely swollen. So I wonder if it was a snake that bit Summer, God forbid. Since we heard it from the TBI's website that she was barefoot, and since we've heard it from the people who know her that Summer was always barefoot, because let's think about another thing. If you'll remember, didn't Don Wells go to the shed? Wasn't it the shed he went to, the first place? Is it because there was some kind of deal or some kind of exchange that Summer was supposed to be brought back to the shed? God forbid. Or was he aware that there were snakes in the shed? And maybe told, that's what he meant by when he says, I told Candus to look after her. Because maybe Summer used to wander off to the shed. And maybe she got bitten by a snake. That is just a speculation, allegedly, guys. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I've been looking at that theory for many, many months. And the reason I never forget that theory is because of what Jose said, that there was a snake in the shed. The fact that Jodie Sue Brown herself said that she would help Candus. Candus would call her and tell her that there's a snake in the property, and she said I would run down and check if it was a snake that was dangerous or not. Then you have Allison, his neighbor, saying that she had a snake. All this seems to be a lot going around with snakes. And why would Candus have a snake tattoo? She didn't have it in Chris McDonough's interview. I remember that clearly because she's wearing the white t-shirt where it was written Mom Patrol. It was kind of, you could see her t-shirt was short arms. I checked both her hands. I took time to study those pictures and the video. She didn't have a tattoo. So why would she make a tattoo of a snake? Unless she's in some kind of cult or some kind of snake worship. Doesn't make sense. Or unless she has it as a memory because someone got bitten by a snake. God forbid. No matter what, we can clearly see there's some negligence going on, because a child just doesn't just disappear. A child doesn't vanish. And now we have this sad story and rumors and speculations. It could be true, it may not be true. That's why I do not play it on my channel, because first of all, that is trauma for Summer's brothers, if they could be watching it from anywhere. That is really trauma, and that is not good for Summer, even if she's around alive. The clip with True, that is Allison, his oldest daughter, True was saying that there was some nasty smudges on Summer's clothes, and she believed that, and she saw Dawn carrying Summer to the basement and Summer was naked or something like that. I really, guys, trigger warning. I don't want to talk about it because it just hurts my heart thinking about it. My question is, if this was going on, and I hear that Allison said that she reported Candus and the Wells 7 times to the CPS. Was it the CPS that was neglecting the calls? Or was it Allison that is lying and saying she called them? Something is not right here. Because I believe if CPS knew about such things, they would have come definitely. Like we can see, apparently, allegedly, we're hearing everywhere that CPS came to Allison and took her children. So the question is, why didn't CPS do anything for someone or four brothers who are much younger than Allison's children? I don't know if Allison and True are trying to throw Candus under the bus. And I remember Dawn saying in the Behavior Channel that they just switched on Candus. And the word he said is they flipped on Candus. And he said we saw them the day that they were doing the parade. He said Allison told Candus, "Oh, they have your child," and she was laughing at her. I never forget those words, so I don't know. Many people say don't listen to Dawn, he's a liar, but everything needs to be taken into account. So, is Jody Sue Brown throwing Andy under the bus? Is Allison throwing Candus under the bus? And Dawn? Is Dawn and Candus throwing Allison under the bus? This is getting really sad and complicated. I just hope that the defense attorney, Armstrong, is building a good case on all of these characters. And Jody Sue, if you ever watch this clip, you have children of your own. Whether it was whoever did it, you shouldn't be saying it on YouTube. Maybe you just have some hate against Andy Bernard, and maybe it's not true, but it sounds like it is true. Why don't you go to the TBI and talk? Another thing you should follow is that when Andy Bernard is talking to Scott H in the interview, he says that I came home around 6:15 to 6:20. He said law enforcement was already there, but that is impossible because someone was reported missing at 6:30. How come Dawn and Andy came home at the same time? They work in different places with different shifts, allegedly. Is this something that happened in the neighborhood that the neighbors are aware of? Is it because school was starting so they had to hide their traces because they all would have gone down for hurting that child? Trigger warning, whether it was molesting those children, whether it was drugging them and doping them. Is that the reason? Isn't it strange that Summer was last seen with a school uniform? On a hot summer day, they decided to put a heavy uniform on Summer. It doesn't make sense at all. And I always said that clip when you hear Candice saying, "Is her arm up?" and the person says no, and she said, "Oh, I thought so." Something happened there. I think they were driving Summer to hide Summer, God forbid, but that's the truth. I wish that the TBI are checking where exactly that picture was taken, because that could help them maybe to find out where they went. I don't think it's anywhere near the house. I doubt. I believe that the accident could have happened in the swimming hole, and they went to got rid of Summer. I believe something could have happened in the car when Hunter was left with Summer, because he couldn't even remember what he was watching. When Chris asked him, "What were you watching?" he said, "I can't remember." He said, "We were just watching something on YouTube." Let's not forget, although H is a minor,